Actually, the subject today, stress management. That's the subject today. But the kind of introduction that you gave kind of stressed me up a bit. Now I have to meet your standards. You have to. Anyway, first I want to talk about the theoretical aspect of stress. And if there are psychiatrists among you, I hope you'll forgive me if I commit mistakes on this subject. Although some good psychiatrists are good friends and we have discussed things at length. And then after the theoretical part, we will look into some kind of a practical exercise, which I think anyone can practice a few minutes every day to relieve yourself from, I won't say ordinary stress, because the word stress is misunderstood usually. In fact, you don't have a certain level of stress. It's not even possible to appreciate relaxation. It's something we have to bear in mind. To be free of stress is not to be lazy. For lazy, there is no stress. In fact, there are people who have nothing to do and who are completely stressed out. And there are people who keep working all the time but seem to be absolutely calm and quiet. Now, there may be some short periods when you lose your control, but generally. So, I want to talk about that first. What exactly do we mean by stress? And what happens? Clinically, of course, the heartbeat increases, the pulse rate increases. You are not able to fix your attention on something. Your mind is wandering. This is the clinical aspect of stress. But when we normally say stress, it means that we are always uncertain or worried about the results that may come in whatever you do. It's not a question of the amount of work that we have that causes stress, but the expectation of results. Because we expect that if I do this much, this has to happen. If it doesn't happen, then I'm stressed out. Even if it doesn't happen, I'm stressed up speculating that it may not turn up, that the results may not come. Now this ancient theory, which is called karma yoga, says that when you do work, if you put your complete attention on the work that you're doing, not worrying constantly about what the result is going to be, but put complete attention on what you're doing. In general, 90% of the time, the results will come out positively. But if they don't come out positively, there's nothing you can do about it. So move forward. This is the theory of karma, how karma yoga is done. See, the mind has to be relaxed. If the mind is not relaxed, there actually cannot be attention and concentration. People somewhere along the line think that concentration and attention are related in some way to, if I say I want to concentrate on something, I have to screw up my face and bite my jaws and look. This is not concentration. You can't concentrate that way. In fact, from our point of view, from the meditator's point of view, relaxation is equivalent to concentration. And the mind is fully relaxed when it can fix its attention on what it is doing with complete attention. That's point number one. Point number two, if this is to be possible, the person must be seriously and really interested in what he's doing. I'll tell you an example. Suppose you are interested in beautiful music, suppose. It can be classical or old film song, it doesn't matter. You are interested in music. Now when you are listening to the music which you are interested in, generally, is there any effort to do that? Or is it happening naturally like a flow? Do you need any effort to do that? No. Why? Because you are interested in what you do. So therefore, one of the reasons why there is stress generated, where one can't concentrate, one is all the time disturbed, is because we haven't found out what is the most interesting thing that we want to do. What happens is a child is interested in music from childhood, but the parents are doctors, so they want him to become a doctor. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with becoming a doctor. Then what happens? The mind is split. The mind which wants to do music, which is doing medicine. I know somebody who is a very successful medical practitioner in Long Island, Port Jefferson, who became a doctor because her parents wanted her to become a doctor. She's actually a first-class piano player, a wonderful musician. As she visualized her life, she was playing music, like Zubin Mehta. And here she is treating patients. Now she has translated that, she has converted that interest in music to treat her patient, but she is a medical psychiatrist. You will be aware that in the United States, until you are a doctor, you cannot be a psychiatrist. So she is both a medical doctor and as well as a psychiatrist. So she is using it now. In the beginning, she told me, when I started practicing, I was so depressed because I wanted to do something else and I was doing something else under pressure. Now this under pressure is one that is responsible for stress. This is the thing. So what I am trying to say is, if the place where you are, if your mentors or your teachers, in my case my teacher, my guru, whoever, any teacher is a guru, can teach in such a way that the person is seriously interested in the subject. Now that is not the fault of the student, it is the fault of the teacher. You can just teach the history with no interest whatsoever. So the child is not interested, he is just memorizing something to write the exam. You can also teach history beautifully in such an interesting way that your mind is automatically concentrated. If this is done, any work you do can become a positive, creative, relaxing work rather than a stress-giving activity. We had an English teacher in Model High School called Hari. He was actually a maths and science teacher, but sometimes he used to teach us English. Now, many people have taught me English, but the lessons which Hari taught cannot get out of our minds. In the beginning, we thought that he was funny. We later on learned that he was deliberately acting funny so that we remembered everything that he said. For instance, there is a beautiful poem by Christina Rossetti called The Daffodils. We were taught the daffodils, and so many people are taught daffodils. Hari had a short leg because of childhood, what is it called, polio. So he used to hold the book in his hand, and every time he read it, he went up and down with the book. And you can't say his pronunciation was the best English pronunciation, but it interested us because he was doing something different from the ordinary. You can read daffodil, the earth was green, the sky was blue, I saw and heard one sunny morn, but he said, earth was green, the sky was blue, and come down. I saw and heard one sunny morn. So you see, this is something, why? Because we were interested in what he was doing. That action and that teaching was so good that never leave your brain. I wandered so many years in the Himalayas. I uncluttered my mind and threw out all the stuff that was put in, but I couldn't throw out Krishna Rossetti. What I am trying to say is, now here, this is a medical profession. I'm sure most of you, if you understand the seriousness of what you are doing, that you are actually after, if you believe in God, if you may or may not, if you believe in God, the doctor is next to God, because he is dealing with people who are sick, he or she, dealing with people who depend, their life depends upon you. Now there are two ways of looking at it. Because of that I am so stressed, because the life depends on me. The other is because it is so, instead of being stressful, I am trying to do something to that person. Because I know that being stressful will not help me to take proper decisions. I knew a very well-known doctor in Trivandrum whose surgeries were famous. When his son had a problem, he called another doctor from outside for the surgery. Somebody said, how come that you are the best, considered to be very good, how come you get somebody else? He said, because I am so attached to my son, and I am not sure I can perform the surgery properly. Because emotion and sentiment got mixed up with his activity. So there is no balance, concentrated, one-pointed. So these are some things to bear in mind when you are practicing the noble profession which you are doing. Because, of course, you shouldn't take the doctor's words totally 100% seriously. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say that God laughs only twice. One is when the doctor says, I'll surely save your life. And the other is when two brothers go onto the field and measure the land and say, this belongs to me and this belongs to you. But the land belongs to the Lord. So, not that. But what I am trying to say is that when you are seriously interested in what you are doing, when you are doing something as a service to humanity, then there is no stress out there because you are doing something with complete attention. Have you seen great musicians singing? When they are walking outside or talking to you, they may be sometimes not well, they may be sick, they may even be having some kind of psychological and physical problems. But when they sit down and start singing, they are absolutely free. The mind is going in one direction. There is no distraction. This is the kind of thing that I think every human being can build it up to practice. This is my understanding. Because when I started off as a young boy learning the art of concentration, I don't think I was more qualified than anybody else who were with me. It's through practice, through understanding, living with a teacher who understood facts about the mind, that I also learned how to fix my attention, how to work without being stressed out, and how to carry on with life. An unmarried yogi may find it not so difficult to live a life. I'm a married one. I have a wife, I have children. My children have passed through also like your children. The period called teen. It's a very stressful period. But if you really know how to handle it, when the child is stressed and you are also stressed, it's a deadly combination. When the child is stressed, you should be calm, otherwise you can't handle it. Now, for this, there are different ways. Those who have religious beliefs have an edge over those who don't in these matters. Because there they have something imaginary or something they have learned or something they don't know about which they can depend upon. These people say, I surrender everything to God. Many people are stress-free because of this. We will not discuss the matter of whether there is God. Leave that alone. But the very belief that there is some higher power to whom I can surrender and who is compassionate and merciful is itself some way of keeping your mind calm, quiet and relaxed. So that there is a treasure in you which is not kept up in your Godrej locker or in your bank locker, in which no thief can break in and steal. Jesus Christ said in the Bible, lay treasures in your heart where thieves do not break in and steal. There is no stress. Stress is because you are afraid somebody might steal or take away what belongs to you. Now, when you say lay treasures in your heart where thieves do not break in and steal, it need not necessarily be a belief in God. It could also be a belief in the enjoyment of the inner sensibility, the fine things in life. One of the best ways to relieve stress, if you are really stressed, is to take a good walk on the beach. Forget about your beliefs in God. Because if you believe in God, you see the wide expanse and wonder what it is all about. If you don't, it's still a widening of your mind that you get out of a little room where the air is constantly circulated again and again. It keeps you cool, of course. But then go out and take fresh air. So fresh air, new places, wide horizons, seashores, mountains, rivers, all these are conducive to releasing stress. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is if you are working hard throughout the day for 24 hours, it's a very good idea for you to get out sometimes and enjoy the openness of nature. That would release your stress. Now, having said this, I want to come to a practical discussion on stress relief, which is connected to the practice of yogic meditation. It's also part of so-called Sufi meditation. Sufis are also yogis in a way. These are only different terms to describe. Now, in this, what happens is, there is the science of pranayama. The science of pranayama is derived from the fact that when you are very stressed or agitated, your mind, your breath is also agitated and stressed. Now this I am coming to the practical aspect of it. Suppose I am very stressed, I am angry, I am not relaxed, I am distracted. Just close your mind, just close your eyes and watch the breathing pattern. You will find that the pattern of your breathing is also very irregular, stressed and perhaps agitated. On the other hand, when you are listening to beautiful music or when you are enjoying something which you really love, close your eyes and look at the breathing. You will find that your breathing pattern is also very quiet and relaxed. So the state of mind is reflected in the pattern of your breath. So the ancient rishis, looking at this, said, if the breathing pattern or rhythm is related in some way to the state of your mind, is it possible that you can bring about a relaxed state of mind by altering the rhythm of your breathing? Now this is very scientific and practical and reasonable to think so. That if your mind state is reflected in the pattern of your breathing, is it possible to alter your breath pattern so that your mind pattern can also be relaxed? So they hit upon the great science of breathing. Now, it's a very large, it's a wide science which has many patterns to it. But I will refer to a very simple exercise in breathing, which is if you quietly watch your breath, just watch it. Don't control it in any way. Don't try to interfere with your breath. Let it go on as it normally is. Just close your eyes and watch your breath. The Buddhists call this vipassana, awareness. Be aware of it, because normally we are not aware of our breathing. It goes on from birth to death, it moves, and it doesn't stop when you want to stop. If it stops, you cannot move it. Done. It's not under our control. So, but it is also possible to be aware of your breathing. So if you can sit quietly and be aware of your inhalation and exhalation without interfering with it in any way, after a while you will discover that your breathing pattern or the rhythm of your breath has slowed down. When it has slowed down, you watch your mind and the movement of the mind would have also slowed down. Everything will be quiet. Now this is a practice which anyone can do. It is not dependent on any religious belief. However, if you have a religious belief and if you feel that there is a supreme being who is connected to us through our heart, it is in the yogic terms called Hridaya, Sufis call it Qalb. If you have a religious belief, if you think that there is a supreme being who is connected to you in some way to your heart, when I say heart, please, I am not talking about the organ that is pumping the blood. That's right. I am talking about heart. You say, oh, I have a good heart. This is what I am talking about, the psychological aspect. the center of one's consciousness. Of course, clinically the center of all consciousness is here. When talking about that feeling, I always say that if you can watch, then you will see that when your breath has slowed down by watching the breath, and when you are in that silent state, they give you something to chant. This is called japa. And as you keep chanting, in TM what happens? Transcendental meditation. Merely a sound is given to you. You close your eyes and keep chanting. Even if it has no meaning. In fact, if it has meaning, then the mind begins to wander, speculating. If it has no meaning, it's mechanical, is even better. As you keep doing that, your mind quietens down. And it has been used and tested in many laboratories in the West, that the mind can be calmed down by watching the breath and also by chanting. This japa among the Sufis is called zikr. They watch the breath and they combine some sound along with that as the mind breath goes in and out until the mind becomes absolutely quiet. This is something which you can practice every day. I'm not come here to give a spiritual talk on Vedanta. Main thing is practically is it possible to release that. And I say yes. One, to start from the point where we started. One, do things which you are seriously interested in. Three, surrender the results to either you call it destiny or to the Supreme Being, whichever you want. Three, give complete attention to what you are doing and not worry about what the result is going to be. Give complete attention. Three, make it a practice to sit every day, at least for 5 or 10 minutes, quietly, and watch your breath. Become aware of your breath. The mind calms down. Now, whenever you are in a stressful situation in your daily work, for 2 minutes, just close your eyes and watch your breath and see how it quietens. Then continue to do your work. And last of all, do not mistake total inaction and laziness for relaxation. These are two things. I know people who have no work, who do nothing, who are not relaxed at all. In fact, the whole principle of what is called a yogasana, are based on the fact that the muscles, if they are not tense, they cannot be relaxed. So tension is not such a bad thing, provided relaxation comes after it. Otherwise it's a bad thing. For instance, you bend your hand like this. These muscles become stretched and go. They are completely relaxed. If there is no tension at all, how do you even know the difference that it is relaxed? When you are in a stressful state, it is a state to be studied so that you know how to deal. If you cannot deal with it, there is no way you can get the patient to deal with it. Imagine a doctor who is always nervous, who is always stressed. What can he do to a patient? Both of he is so stressed that he has come to us. So I think it's very important for all physicians to learn the art of relaxation. Now, there are other general ways of relaxing apart from these, which is go and swim every day. Let all the hormones in your body which bring about relaxation spread through your blood system. You can also play golf if you want. It's a very relaxing game. The thing, what I'm trying to say is do something in which your mind is occupied and away from your day-to-day activity. Singing, music, bhajans, worship, all these are important ways of deep training. In Islam, for instance, 5 times prayer is prescribed. Okay? So, a person stops his work after he goes to pray. What does he do during prayer? He does certain actions which are very similar to yogic postures. He surrenders himself to the Almighty. He sits quietly saying, "Oh God will look after me," and comes back to work. So that stress that was built up till then has been dissolved for the time. You continue to work again. In the ancient Hindu system of thought, there is what is called the Sandhya. 3 Sandhya. One Sandhya is at dawn, the morning when the sun is about to rise. And when the Maulin calls you up for prayer, that is the Sandhya when the yogi sat and chanted the Gayatri. Then comes the middle Sandhya, which is in the afternoon, when the sun, the shadows begin to lengthen, midday. There also you have a break where you can quietly sit and meditate, pray, do what you want. Then comes the evening Sandhya, which means dusk. Dusk is the time when the whole atmosphere is calming down. The birds are trying to go back to sleep. That's the time when you also can sit and chant, relax, pray, or just listen to music, do whatever you do. Now, this is also what happens when you have ever been to Europe, into some of those old cathedrals, where there may not be even a priest conducting prayer, but the old organs play so beautifully. The music is so sonorous that whether you have belief or you don't have a belief, you go in there and everything is relaxed. So these are some of the ways with which one can handle this. And I recommend that you have for the medical personnel, meaning from doctor down to all the others, some form of short capsule course in de-stressing the mind. De-stressing the body, of course, but de-stressing the mind so that they become more efficient, calm, quiet, and transfer that calmness to the patient. When the doctor is calm, the patient becomes very calm. We used to have at one time a certain section of medical personnel called GPs. General physicians, they are fast disappearing, so everything is specialized now. Some of the GPs, the general physicians, is so good, not that they would give you the right medicines all the time. Human beings can commit mistakes, but their bedside manner and the way they spoke to the patient relieved half the disease. Why? Because they were not stressed themselves and they were passing on this calm and peace to the patient. Now, this is a very important thing to note, that the human mind is sympathetic to any influence that is near. If you are calm, you feel calm. If I am agitated, you feel agitated. This is how political agitations are built up. Because it catches up. If here somebody yawns, very soon you will see many people yawn. Although physically you have no connection with each other. Why? Because the mind is connected. Every mind is connected to the other. So therefore, if you find ways and means to become calm and de-stressed and transfer it to those who need. So I don't want to say anything more on this subject. We'll leave a little time open to discussion if someone has questions. And then I would like to demonstrate practically for 5 or 10 minutes how to meditate. But before we do that, I would like, if you have any questions, not political questions. You can come forward if there is a microphone. If the mind is connected, is there any scientific proof? When you say scientific proof, physically we may not find any proof, except that scientific need not necessarily be linked to something that is strictly physical. For instance, the study of the mind. Now, when I say the brain, you say the mind, whether when a medical person, physiologist or an anatomist says mind, he talks about the brain. When I say mind, I am basically talking about thought. Now, I will give you something which may appear to be logical, but whether it's scientific or not has to be decided in a different way. I'll give you a reason. I may have fear of something. Fear. You may have a fear about something else. I may dislike certain things. You may dislike certain other things. Now, while the reason for my fear is different from the reason for your fear, fear is a common factor. All humanity has some fear or the other. All humanity has some attachment or the other. All human beings have some repulsion or the other. So this is a common factor. The reason for it may be different from each people. I may be afraid of a tiger, you may be afraid. No, you may be afraid of a tiger, I may be afraid of my wife. But what I mean to say is that fear is common. I hope my wife isn't here. She's not here, so thank God. So anyway, so what I mean to say is, while the reason for the fear is different, fear is a common factor. So which means that the human mind, from our point of view, is one. It manifests itself in different ways and different forms, in different shapes, in different emotions. So it's all one. So if we bring about a change, therefore, in one end, it's possible that it may be reflected at the other end. Simple fact is that even yawning, it's a known fact that if there are 10 people sitting and if one person yawns, very soon you will find that most people begin to yawn. Physically there is no link. Only the mind is linked. Now, this is also the fact that when you are calm, the other person also becomes. I have personal experience in this matter. Nobody will believe this, but I'm going to tell you a story because it is going to come in my next book, so it's not already there in my autobiography. But it's a very interesting story, which is my personal experience with Babaji, who was my teacher. We used to live in a cave called Mani Baba's cave in Rishikesh. So some sadhus came and complained to Baba saying that, there is a wild elephant, a rogue elephant out, and it is creating a lot of havoc. It has killed some sadhus, so we can't walk up to Nilkant. So he said, so what am I supposed to do? I'm not a forest officer. He always tried to discourage people from encouraging him to display extraordinary things. So he said, I don't know you. उनको बड़ो फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट वाले को बताओ कुछ करेगा. No, Baba, you have to do something. ठीक है, they're all right. So that night, he sent them away. That night, around midnight, he woke me up. Chalo, that Baba, you can't deny. Chalo. So we went. It was a full moon night. We went and sat in one edge of a rock there on the other side. And that I got frightened because I knew that this is the place where the sadhus had described, that the rogue elephant sat there. The first impression I remember is in those days there were leopards in Rishikesh. Now human beings have come and leopards have gone almost. I think leopards are afraid of God or something. I don't know. Anyway, so we sat on the rock and we looked and we saw, I saw a leopard walking far away, looking at us and wondering what are these fellows doing at midnight, and disappeared. And in that silence, in complete silence, suddenly there was a sound of, when the elephant attacks, it has a, what is it called, trumpet charge. With absolutely no notice, this huge big elephant charged from the front. There were two options I had, either to run or to sit. I decided, since Babaji is there, let me sit. Now what I am trying to say is this influence of the mind. This fellow came tearing down towards us. Halfway through, kind of braked himself. Slipping, his leg slipped on the sand and kind of braked. Stood still. So I said, now the story is over, maybe we can go back home. Babaji said, chalo. So we went forward. The elephant is right in front of us. He goes to the elephant, touches it on the trunk like this, and whispers into his ear as if it's a human being, saying, do elephants behave like this? This is nobody will believe this, it's very funny. He goes near the elephant and he says, हाथी ऐसे करते हैं, चुपचाप वापस जाओ, ठीक हो ना? And things like that, as if we are talking to a human being. And the elephant quietly goes down on his knees and lifts up his trunk. That's not over. Babaji says, isko salam karo. And I'm wondering what a stupid thing am I doing. And the elephant walks off and I come back. it was for me a clear-cut proof that one tiny little man whose mind has such control over his huge elephant, which is a roaring, charging rogue elephant. Single rogue elephants are always the most dangerous among us. Herds are not so dangerous. It's like that. You would have felt, most people would have felt, that when you have a calm person, everybody becomes calm. When you have an agitated person, people get agitated. Either you become a little calm, or my dog has put you to sleep. Okay. Then, can we sit for 5 minutes and just follow what I'm saying? You don't have to fold your legs, you can sit where you sit. Back home, when you go back, try it again and see if it works. And if you are in the middle of a stressful situation, close your eyes and try to do it again. Start watching your breath, which means don't control it in any way. As you inhale, feel the breath going in, feel the breath coming. Just let your mind travel with your breath and just sit quiet. Don't even think I'm going to relieve my stress. Nothing. You are allowed to sneeze. Yawning is not such a good idea. Was it nice? So, if we can do this 10 minutes every day in the morning and 10 minutes when you lie down to sleep, I personally feel with practice you'll be able to develop the art of relaxation. When you're lying down to sleep, the best thing is to lie down, watch your breath, and then think of all the different parts of your body starting from your toe upwards. Fix your attention till you come to the head. Generally, if you have insomnia, you might be able to cure yourself with just this much of practice. Unless it has become so chronic that it requires other. So thank you very much. Before I finish, I want to tell you a small little story so that we end at a happy note. Not saying we are unhappy. There was this gentleman who had great difficulty in sleeping. So he went to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said, the best way is go into your room, pull the curtains or close, put a dim light, close your eyes, lie on your couch, and think that there are little red men like those Lilliputians in Gulliver's Travels who are all over your body doing various functions. So then you say to the little fellows in your feet, little red men from my feet, go away. And imagine that they have left. You know what? Strike work. Now state it is so common. So strike work and go away. And then keep doing that till all the little red men have disappeared from your body. You are completely relaxed. So this man said, okay. So he lay down on the couch. Little red men from my feet go away. So feet got relaxed. When he came to the shin, that little red man, then tied. He was about halfway up his body, sending all the little red men away. When his wife came in wearing anklets, singing, sound of anklets. So he said, oh, little red men, please come back. So, you want to be really relaxed, don't let any little red men come back. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful opportunity. I'm so happy.